But hello and welcome to a new build. This is the T-6 Jedi Shuttle, Ahsoka Tano's ship. And here we got the cockpit area. This here is actually where that little ball gun turret goes. And here, this is neat. This is part of the main hull. But we do have an interior inside here too. This will be the underneath. And then there's greeblies that you put in here, in those spots. There'll be, on the lid, there'll be windows. Two small ones and I think two bigger ones. But this is where you see in the series where the floor is flat and they're training. You know, Sabine is training. And then that floor detail lifts up and turns into a table and chairs and stuff. Back here, I think up front here is the bunks. They're inserts, which is great. I mean, this leads to the cockpit. So you'll see a door back there. And then here's like a kitchen and then like a little office kind of little area back here. And I believe the bunks are up here, but they're inserts, so you put those in, which is neat. And then there's your three main engines, and then on the other end of this, well, this one, but on the opposite side of this will be the other smaller engine. And they leave you holes so you can put lights in them. Those I still got to clean up. The settings they give you this is from Gambody. Great detail. The wings will actually move. The gun turret on here you'll be able to move and light. I'm hoping I can get a wire up here or just a light back here to glow it. You also have, I don't think it's on that section of the wing, you have that spotlight there. Somehow there's a tunnel to get to it. I'm wondering if it's one of these here, because this is where it attaches to the thing that spins around. So I'm wondering if one of these holes takes you right to there. I don't know what the other one would be. And also I noticed there's a little red light on the TV series too. But Gambody gives you printing settings, and they worked really good. Especially, you didn't have to do much for the A1 bamboo. But this is the first time I printed something with only like a 5% infill. It's a little squishy, but man, it uses less filament. So that way I can bring the print quality up. So I moved it to 1.6. Probably could have even went to a 1. But all the detail inside these trenches looks so good. And that's with this printing like that. But these are the two wing halves. They'll go like that. And then what you're seeing there is the landing hatch. The landing ramps, which will be on both sides. Supports are coming off of this really nice. So I'm happy about that. Here it's like, oh no, it's going to ruin all the detail. But like I said, up here, it gives you walls. So all this will be pretty much hidden by inserts. It has these little, these are the little inserts. Like here's the office, like there's a bunch of drawers here, a little table, shelf, a little more. I don't know if this is like where you see her looking at lightsabers and stuff like that. Or the droid, when they're trying to figure out who Balin is by looking at his lightsaber. Not sure. And then this one's definitely a little kitchen because you see a stove over here and some stuff on there. That looks like it's a vent. I don't know if these holes here so I can stick a light in here. And then this is the bunk area, which, see, there's your cockpit door. So all this if we have any ugliness from all these supports here, this goes in like that. And I'll take care of all that. This is the lower half of the cockpit. There'll be a top piece, and then you have chairs and a console. There's a side console here too. Really not going to do any. Most of the lighting is just going to be area lighting. There's really no way to sneak a wire up in here and actually light. You know, I thought about printing the consoles in it like clear, and then just putting one light there and glowing the whole console, paint it black, and like I did with the Falcon, because that was that milky clear, and that allowed you to light the whole console. Just put a light in there to light the whole console. The whole plastic glows, and then I just scraped some of the buttons here that I wanted solid on. After I hit it with a black light play, and then if they were colored, I just hit like with transparent blue and stuff like that. Any of the lights I wanted flashing, I ran fiber optics, but there's just going to be no way to. You can see the floor here. So if they gave maybe a floor plate, you can make a trench and then bring wires up, or even fiber optics. But yeah, I don't know. And there's landing gear you can put on it as well. I'm not seeing the landing gear hatches. Oh, they're on the main. They're on this. Now let's see if it'll go in. There we go. That one just needs to be a peg. I think this one goes. No, so those two. Now let's check this hole. Probably just as tight. Really just needs to locate it. I don't need it to have an actual glue point. There's plenty of glue surface here. I'm just going to super glue those in. Make sure it's going to fit. Right, yeah. How well these fit? Fairly nice, but do they? Yep. So that's beautiful. There we go. Just do this in a more assembly line fashion here, instead of one at a time. Okay, that's these two halves. Just gonna mix it. It's much easier just to mix it right up on the parts. That's what I do with my prop helmets too. And then I'll super glue the pegs. do. Nothing to it. I could try to spread tape across it. Wouldn't hurt. This tape's pretty tacky, so I can kind of get a decent grip. And kind of press and pull. Go. Because you can actually pull on it. Now, this is a little weird. But I still try to pull it dead center like this. There we go. We're getting squishing out, which is good. Like I said, we'll just fill that in with some tulip. Alright, there's one wing. Like I said, this is the front here, so this is the part that'll go up and down. Let's get the next one done. So, big shot of this. That one fit together even better. You get a little resin on your hands or anything up there, it'll level out. As long as you don't leave a big clump that it can sit there and dry like a hard turd, but most of the time it levels itself out. And again, we'll do the same thing here. Said if I get, it's real tacky tape, so if I get it taped on one side, I can actually pull as I'm pushing on the actual part down. All I'm doing is squishing and then I'm pulling on the tape and pressing it down. There we go. I like that. Well, there's the wing sections. We got these parts here to do. But yeah, she'll sit like that. So that's going to kind of give you an idea how big she is. Okay, the hull's coming together pretty good. I ran some tulip in a lot of the seams, but a lot of it's not going to be seen because all this here, this seam here is going to be covered by this. I gotta make sure a little trimming to make it fit. Probably right there, there's some boogers, plastic boogers. But that'll cover all that. And then it's going to get landing covers here, or hatch, because I'm not going to have the landing gear out. But I am going to still print them and paint them up because there's going to be times where I might want to take it off the stand and have it sit on its landing gear. But that seam there will always be covered either with the hatch covers or it looks like the footprint of the, like these bumps here for the landing gear to snap in. That's what I'm assuming. It goes right here. Same thing with on the lid. This cover, the only part is going to be right there, so we just got to make sure that's good. And this here, but these look like panel lines. I got to add a little more tulip there. It's sinking in. But that one looks great. That looks like a drawn out panel line. So this one here, I want to kind of get nicer and clean up. But these will have detail parts that go inside here. That'll cover those. There's pieces that go here, 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 and here. And I think it's the same down here. But yeah, got these parts all cleaned up. This one I can actually put together as a whole because that's on the lower side. And then this is where you can put two other landing gear go here, because this will be kind of the belly of the ship. And when it sits that low. It has two little lower landing gear. And then the outside of the hull has two more. So that's all that's got to happen with that one. For this one here, I'm going to hide the battery. They kind of leave you these, I don't know what battery you could get in and out of there. I have to see if like a little 12 volt, those real little ones, I can maybe even get in there. But if not, I'm just going to use probably just a AAA battery pack. Once I take this off, and no, I don't need a lid for it. It'll slide in there. And I can even fit a triple if I need to use triple. So I don't know. I'll see how it runs just off of 3 volts. If I move to a triple, I'll have to use resistors on the LEDs. But not a big deal. I think I can get away with just 2 AAAs. I'm not running this for hours and hours and hours. The most it would get run is at a show. And I get to rechargeables, and that's fine. I've seen a nice set that comes with 4 AA's and 4 AAA's and a charger for really cheap. Then I just have to order a 4.5 volt, which would fit in here according to their dimensions, at least online. And it doesn't. And that's because it's the one without the lids and the switch. Now this switch I can just grind down a little bit and it will fit. So that's what I think I'm going to do, and then try to get the switch up to one of these windows. But if not, I'm not ever going to glue these two halves together. What I'm thinking of doing, if we put the top back on, I'm thinking of permanently attaching this piece, because this will be able to lift off. And that's where the wire comes down and goes in this little compartment and gets distributed to every part of the ship, because that's where all the little tunnels lead to. They all come to here. But then it has a hole here, or a notch, I guess you could say, for the wire from this to come down into. So I'll just make a little connector, and that'll take care of that. So when we want to take this off, I can just unplug. The only bad thing is that shuts the ship off. But I'll try to make it long enough. Would be nice. Because I can tuck a lot of wire in here. It's only really going to be a power dish junction. There'll be an LED here for this engine. Or, wire. And then there's a hole here to put one to that one. And there's a hole here to put one to this one. And then there's this down one that goes to the ones up front, which then lead out to the wings. I want to put a light back here so that the gun turret has a glow to it. In the kitchen and in this room here, I think this is the kitchen, this is the other room, there's a single light I want to put in them. And then these bunks, but I don't have to put one in every bunk. I mean, it would only be 4 LEDs, but I think in the series Ahsoka, Sabine's bed, just by the drawings on it, she draws and everything, even the ghost, when she was on the ghost, she drew. Her room was all painted up with drawings. That's this lower bunk. Unless she did some drawings. No, because he wouldn't have been around. So, yeah. Now I could put the light on in that one, and maybe the upper one here. That would save on battery power. I don't really need all those bunks lights to be on. I think that's what I'll do. But I'll have Sabine's on for... Yeah, because I'm trying to remember the camera angle in the series. It was from this way. So if I do that lower one and then maybe do the upper one here, because it might ambient down and light the room a little better. Yeah, so we could do that. And then I do the one comes through here, so it's almost like a stove light. And then this one's just kind of wherever in the back corner, or actually in the front. This one goes here. But where I got off track is, yeah, I can actually glue this half on. You know, and I can even slide the battery pack in here. But I think I want this one to be able to be taken off. So otherwise, if you put the battery pack in there, then those battery, you know, you need a way to connect some power to charge it. And even, yeah, I don't want to get all involved in that. But I might be able to get this to slide far enough forward where I can hit the switch through one of these little port access. If not, well, I'm just going to have this magnet down, put 2 magnets here, and then put 1 magnet here to let it suck against this. And that seam there is pretty much a natural panel line in the ship, so we'll just do that. And this one can be permanent down. I can even slide the battery pack in here, pull it out, turn the switch on, and then close that and just not even worry about these side ports. But I'm going to get started painting this floor. I think I'm going to do the floor. I'm just going to take my airbrush and just do this whole floor and even up in here. That way I don't even have to mask. And we'll do all even in this inside a hall color, which I'm thinking is going to be, to me, is deep sea gray. Yeah. I like that gray. And that'll kind of bring that marble look floor. And then I think I'm going to do the main part of the walls in the slate gray from Deco Arts. And then I think any accents in a neutral gray. I think like inside here between these pillars, it's darker in some of the screenshots I've seen. It's like a hair darker. So I think this neutral gray will pull in, and you know, it'll be quite drastic, but it kind of looks quite contrasty in the screenshots. And I'm gonna kind of make up some of my stuff my own, because depending on the lighting, I know these beams here look really almost white in one shot, and then they look like a light gray in another shot. So, and I think these cushions in here are like an almost reddish orange. And then we got detail with these, I don't know if those are blast doors. We got some different shades of gray going on in there. And I think there's 2 of them that are black. At least they look that way, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And then you have that red that's like for the on the floor, which represents the cushions of the seat where you sit, because this all rises like a table, and it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 seating areas. But I screwed up. I actually glued this down and I made the lines kind of go together. I needed that, and I wasn't sure which one of these square thing rings represented the chair area. It seemed a little small to me. Just that inner rings being the table. But it's not. These are supposed to be just so that you had a single one at your north, south, east, and west. You're looking at it like this. And your north, south, east, and west. Should be one of these little ones dead in those. And then you go 3 in red, and then the other one would have, the north one would have been a dark gray, and then 3 in red, and then a dark gray. Dark gray is the area that stays the floor, but then the chairs rise up. So it's neat. But I can make this work. They'll be off a skew. That's all. It'll work. I tried to bust it back open, but sometimes super glue you can get it to pop. I even put some super glue. That's what the white stuff is, debonder. But you got to be careful because it likes to melt plastic too. It's probably only just an acetone, really. So I'm going to start spraying this floor, and then we can. I think I'm going to paint a lot of these not inside because it's going to be easier for me to. Because a lot of it's going to be hand painted. I'll do a shot of the walls color, and then from there I'm going to have to hand paint as best I can, trying to get a brush. I wish these walls weren't all together. That way you could paint things. It's going to be tough. I'm going to be reaching around corners. But it's going to be basic. I think I'm going to do all wall colors. Maybe do the tabletops in a dark gray. I don't know. I'm going to have to look at, see if I can see any screenshots. I thought in the one episode you are in this room where they're looking at a lightsaber. Or am I thinking of like an animated series? But even still. No. Is it that droid and Sabine? Or is it the droid and Ahsoka when they're trying to figure out who the mercenaries that were former Jedi? Not sure. But I think that might be a scene, so I can maybe go to that and see if I can see what colors things are in here. Kitchen, like I said, I'm just going to blast it with the wall color. Maybe do these doors in these cabinet doors in a darker gray and these upper cabinets in a darker gray. And then do a real dark gray top or a black. I don't know. I'm thinking real dark gray because then I can do the stove top in black. That's going to be fun. Anyway, I keep seeing stuff. And then here, like I said, it's going to be the wall, normal lighter wall color. And then I'll do the accent in the neutral gray in here and then paint this thing up. The same with the other side. And these go right here. And then this is that wall. So, and this I'm going to just do the ladder rails in a gold. There's really little lights in the corners of it that are shining that are yellow. And there's that maroonish red stripe going up and off. These doors are that maroonish red. Everything else is just that wall color. And then this will follow the same, I believe, as these do. Okay, got this painted with the gray. And then what I did is I have, to me, a German gray in a can. And I just stood back and to make some specks to kind of give it that marble-y kind of look. So we're doing kind of overall, and then we'll do our colors, other colors, because I think there's the red sections for the chairs that would rise up, become seats. We got the red, white, gray, and white, like circles, stripes in a circle in this area. Let me zoom in here. These here are the actual table. Those rings. So this gets a red, then I think it's a white and a gray. It's supposed to be 2 shades of gray and then a white again. And then we got areas here that'll be red and then a dark gray or darker gray. When these red areas raise up, their seats for around the table. And then there's a single space, and then there's seats, and then a space, and then seats. That's what goes on there. Outside here, this stripe is a dark gray, I believe. Not sure what this is. This might be a dark gray out here too. And these stay the floor color, I believe. Yeah. And then normally there's like a little pattern that goes on a few of these and around. And I don't know what that. I don't know if I can find that symbol and maybe make a decal, shrink it down, and make a decal. It's kind of in the same red as the chairs, and then these corner, there's like a piece here. This is all that normal marble color. This will have a wall here and stuff. And then this panel here to about here. And I think I keep it in the same, I don't know if I come all the way out to here. I think I do. Is in that red as well. And then it's the normal marble color. I think these little grids here that are in the walkways, once we put the walls and everything in here, those will be the only pathway. I think those, I can't really see what those are, so I think I'm going to do that in a gray to make it look like it's a mat. You can see there's one there. I think this is the kitchen area. Yeah. This is the kitchen area because there's the light that's by the stove. And then this is where like the Jedi, I'm going to call it, that's where like the lightsaber workshop, I guess. And then here's your bunks, and that has a grid pattern there. So we'll do that in a gray, a darker gray. Make it look like a mat, like a traction mat. And there might be other little things, but I'm not going to go crazy because I'm sure these little detail squares that are on the floor probably are not canon. This is pretty close. Like I said, I have this twisted off a little bit, but we'll make it work. So that's what we'll do in here. And like I said, if I can find that symbol that's on the ground there, we could print some decals and put them down. And then the walls I did in a lighter gray. Because that's the best I could think of seeing. You know, like I said, in different lights it's darker, but then you see sunlight where they have like a hatch open, or from the windows from up top glowing down. Especially like when I saw one of these pillars looked almost white. There's the Jedi lightsaber workstation. I'm assuming those are just little lightsaber parts up on the tables. And then we'll, from what I'm guessing, I thought I saw these in a red, these drawers. And then the kitchen. Here's our stove. We'll paint the, I mean, it really looks like a regular stove. You got your burners, and you got your vent. Looks pretty neat. And then that side door will get the red. This one doesn't have a sideboard. This must have a way of getting into this mechanics room or whatever they, I'm sure it's a mechanics room. Let's see how these look in there. Yeah, I like that. And then I painted the tops, so the tops are painted. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now that'll look cool when you open it up. And then this goes here. And we'll have to paint these doors red on both sides. Boy, everything's fitting just a little tighter. And I didn't really put a heavy coat of paint on. Oh yeah. That's looking good. While we're doing it, let's see what it looks like with this in. There you go. Yeah, so I think if we do those in like a dark gray, just to give some difference. I almost thought of maybe doing the red to kind of follow the red theme in these rooms. But I think they'll look, or a black. something darker, I think, because there's going to be a big red stripe here, and then the red corners, and then all the red, whites, and grays in there. And you'll have the red seats in here, and some of the drawers, I think, up here are going to be red. But that maroon red, not a red red. Kitchen I'm going to keep simple as the grays, and then a darker gray, medium gray, maybe countertop. And then that, so do I have it? I always, you can tell, but yeah. And that goes there. Here's the other one. And that goes like that. And I kind of like that those doors back, I did the floor color, are a little darker gray. I think there you're looking into the bunks. Yeah. Actually, this shot is like from this way. If you're looking, it's you can't quite see it. It's a dark photo, but yeah, that shot is from this angle. So you can see some red in the bunks. Or no, those are the controls right here. But you see those red stripes right here, which are on each side of this big square. But yeah, they do go pretty much up against the wall. So yeah, I'll bring them all the way over. I'm pretty sure those corners are red. I'll have to look at another interior shot. There, that's a little brighter. You can see that's black, and then it's almost, it looks almost lighter than that. So I'm going to go with a white and then black behind it. A lot of lights on those controls there. Yeah, I can't tell if those are. Yeah, see, there's a symbol. This is like a toy or something. See, there's those symbols that are around the table. Or are those gray? It might be gray. Yeah, and there's the lights on the corners of that, like ladder, I guess. But I can't tell what that color is there, if it's the reflection of the light or. There you can see that wall with the. That's that right there in a sense. They show that a lot darker. This room looks much bigger on the set because look at these walls here that just have this ridge light. That's nowhere. It's just this circle thing and this thing, and then a door. As far as this model kit, they picked a good actress for the animated Sabine. She definitely has some of the characteristics. Yeah, I can't tell if that's the shelves in the Jedi room. Because there she's like leaning at the door, and that could be like this. And what you can see in the background is that. But that looks like a very fairly big door opening. Huh. Probably the best thing to do is just to watch the show. Yeah, see how a lot of it, a room has all this, but you don't see unless those are things that come down to make it look like a dojo. Yeah, let's see if I can see it there. Yeah, it's a gray. And then that's a dark gray, and that's a dark gray. And then there's all kinds of like little stripings. Some of these It's hard to tell. It's like, okay, that goes to here, and then that little piece there is gray. Maybe up to here. Yeah, I think I'm not going to go all that crazy because, like I said, this is not that as accurate as you'd want it to be, but there's some gray striping on the floor, too. Looks like, what way is she laying? She's laying like that, then this whole thing isn't like a pointed. It's kind of comes out and then gets chopped at an angle. Yeah. So we'll have to make best with what the model is asking for. All you can do, really. Not like they give you a shot looking right down. Maybe in the movie they do, or in the, I might be able to find a scene where you can see it. Okay, I got these gray areas done, and I did those pads in the walkways. We're starting to get somewhere. So now I'm going to start, I think, tacking the red. I got to find myself a red, and then we'll do the red chair area, the red in the center. We got a red stripes going on each side here. And then that red's in a lot of places as far as drawers in here and stuff like that. So let's go pick a red that I like, and that's close to what they have on the show, and we'll get those painted in. Well, okay, getting the floor down pretty nice. Got all the patterns there, and the 4 sets of 3 reds. That's those chairs that raise up when it turns into a table. So that's in. I saw that they had these red patches on the sides. I did these little grilled areas, a different gray to make them look like maybe some type of traction mat so you don't slip, or give you a little softer, especially in your bunk area. But, in your kitchen area, stuff like that. Did a little detail on the hatches that are on the sides. This is actually how you exit the ship, but if the wings are this way, you actually go through, and then there's the landing ramps that come down off the wings in it when it's in landing position. But if she's like this and her wings are upright and she's docking, she can just come right out these doors, which is neat. Here's the back wall done. Well, not completely done, but started. I got the doors painted. I got a little darker gray here, and I got to trim that with black. And there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen here. Just to give it something. In the photos, it looks like it's all one gray. It's hard to tell from the photos, and even screenshots from the TV series, because depending on the lighting, it changes. If you have like daylight, where they're assuming that either these hatches are open and lights coming through the window, everything looks really light like this. But then I see, you get shadowing. There's just no way to really overwhelmingly tell what's in shaded. So I wanted to give something here to this where this, I guess it's a ladder. I'm not even sure. It might be a ladder to get up into this, piece here. I don't know. But it normally has little yellowish, warm white lights on each side of the rails to kind of give it a yellow look, even though I think the rails are a light gray, but I just went with a gold to give it that effect. I might see if I can drill a little tiny hole and just put a little SMD LED, a yellow one, shining down. That might be kind of cool. Or even a warm white, so it gives it a little more light than this yellow. I'm not sure. Again, in the show, these doors here are not red, because I was watching the series the other day, and she's sitting there talking to Hey, the droid, I can't think of his name right now. Her droid. And you gotta go by the drill holes. Anyway, they were looking at the lightsabers that they found. See, that fits better like that. But that's just like that. But this one doesn't go on this side. It goes on this side. Weird. I guess that's how both of them fit. Yeah, that wouldn't work on that. It has to be this. I guess they're just saying there's a space between that cabinet and the wall. But you can see they're gray. They're like, but they look like almost the same gray as the walls. But I wanted to give them a little more contrast, so I went and painted them gray. I know for sure this one is because when she's in the kitchenette area, or actually, I think they show this door. The way their layout is, it's a little different. There's a door here. But anyway, when you see her leaning against the door, you can see that they're gray because it's closed. And then she goes out to say something to Sabine, and she already took off with the map that's in that round sphere. So that's how you know, because you actually see those doors closed because she was talking to the droid in, privately. I got the bunks painted. See. There you go. Got those done. Not sure what other detail I'm going to do in here because it seems like this ship's just a complete gray, one color. I think I'm going to go through and darken these. Maybe I'll use the same as what I used on these doors, just to give them a different. And then on the TV series, you see there's whole panels that are glowing red and stuff like that. I can go in and paint them like that, but they won't glow. Trying to keep this being battery powered, not too many things, so I'm not going to put all 4 bunk lights in. I think I'm going to do. I think Sabine's is down here because there's some drawings on her wall, which I'll never be able to replicate. So I'll put one down on her bunk, and then put one up on the top bunk up here. That'll save me 40 milliamps if I don't do those other 2 at 20 milliamps each. So that'll save some battery power. And it really doesn't need all 4. If all 4 of them are going, it'll just be insane. I want to have the lights in each one of these rooms. That's what those holes are. Did the drawer things in this. I guess you'd call it a workroom or utility room where they repair lightsabers. Since these are a Jedi Shuttle. So a lot of those were red, So I hit those, kind of keeping the same red theme going throughout. We'll have to paint the handles on them. And still got to paint the lightsaber parts that are on the table. The rest of the cabinets, which really is only these 2, and these are probably just parts bins or something. I'm just going to leave that color and just paint the handle, grab, maybe do a silver or something. I think theirs are gray. But even got the tabletops at least painted. I don't know. Maybe take the camera off here. Okay. Yeah, so now you can see it a little better. So I gotta paint all the parts that are sitting on the table, but I figure it's easier to hit the countertop and slop all over them, and then I can detail them up. And then once I put a wash in there, that'll bring some of the detail of all the little cubby holes and stuff like that. And most of it you're going to see from looking up above. I'll give you another better look at the bunk area. And I left those with one coat because I kind of like how they're showing through a little bit. You can tell it's not a double coat. give it that more softer look. Here's these up close. We got to paint all the detail on these. All these parts in here. But like I said, I think some of these boxes I'll do in the same gray as I did these doors. It's a rainy day gray. So it's a little different than the grays. But here's the floor again. And I found I can't find a symbol that she has going around on this outer circle. I can't find that. Don't know even how they even look it up. I just looked up symbols for Ahsoka's ship and stuff like that. But they keep coming up with the fulcrum symbol for her, which is really cool. Yeah, they know my phone. So we're gonna do this instead. As long as I have something down there, and I'll make this a decal. I'm getting a light ring, and I'll make this a decal. This kind of mimics what's on her face. So that's what that's about. So we'll do those in, I guess we'll put one here and then we'll skip a tile and then another one and then skip. So it's pretty much going to be like boom. Yeah, it's pretty much going to be like here, here, here. Pretty much in all these corners and then there. And then it'll go all the way around. And then I'll do it in the red. See if I can change this to a red and make it a decal and shrink it down, fit in those tiles. We showed that, and here's the kitchenette. Still needs a lot of work done, but I did that side door there, which probably allows you to get into this. It's supposed to simulate like that way you can get in this little compartment here. That's basically where we're at. It's just a lot of hand painting. Let's show it going together. All right, you would go here. You would go here. That gives you an idea. And then the lights will come out of this compartment sticking out, and then there's a light right. You see the hole under the stove vent. Paint that stove vent. It's going to be cool. That's done, and then this goes there like that. So it's looking good. And you can see the two doors, which makes it a lot better. That I think that they're an off gray from the wall. And there's a door in that one. And then I believe it's this one on this side. You can tell because how I think the one's a little different. It's where they have this one lit. And then this one goes on this side. So that gives you an idea. And the bunk's nice because it's all one big piece. The front area. Living quarters, I guess you could say. And then painting those mattes gray just gives you stuff. Like I like the speckle look. Kind of gives it that tile. Out here, it's almost like it is a tile. Here might be like metal decking. We got a lot of door work to do on this side. But that's where we're getting to. I still got a lot more painting, especially with hand painting. It's time consuming, and like I even hand painted all that. It just was easier. Especially with acrylics, they level out. But I want to get another clear down on here before I start scratching them up. But Ahsoka's ship interior is coming along. I almost thought about doing these cross pads in that red, but I think it's pulling too much red. We got enough red in there. Now I don't know on the ship if there's things that come out and slide down, like when they make it a dojo. so you don't see all these walls or hatches, and then it has lights behind them. I'm assuming that's what's going on. I'm liking it. It's getting there. And I'm liking how those cabinets are looking now, especially now the drawers are all painted up. Hmm. Neat. All right. Well, I'm going to continue on painting. Okay. I got this piece glued together. The top one goes here. I'm going to leave apart because that's how I'm going to access the batteries instead of through these ports. Unless I can get the battery pack to get up here where I can hit the switch at least. Well, I'm going to permanently glue this one down. But this one I'm going to have as magnetic. That way if I keep the battery pack in here, I can pull it out and then pull the battery pack out. So I think that's, and I'll just use magnets here and then in here. I think if I just put one magnet up top here, it'll be fine. And then maybe 2 or 3. Probably just 2 because I got strong magnets right there. And then I had to fix this one window because it didn't print right. So I just sliced just that bar and reprinted it and glued it. And I have it sitting here to keep its shape. And I just put some tape down here so I didn't get it to stick to the actual bottom of the ship. And it looks like we're good. It had a pretty good gap there, so I filled it with some super glue first just to get it to stay where it needs to, and then I hit it with some epoxy. And then we'll go in here and clean it up. I'm going to do a little. Oh, that's going to work fine. And then we can always putty anything else that's left. Yeah, that'll work. So I still got to paint the ceiling. I want to putty these seams. So we still got to paint this up. And the interior is done. Actually, these parts go there. As far as painting, it is all done. All the little cubbies, kitchenette, and then I call this like the lightsaber workshop. Let me take the camera off and then you can get a better, maybe we can get a better look here. All right, there we go. There's the lightsaber workshop. We got to do some washes in here. The other side, we did some detail on this compartment, which is going to be our junction for all the wiring. There's a kitchenette. You got your little stove in the back. There's an access door to that engine or machine room or whatever. I got those, whatever, I'm considering them slide doors. Did the black and the white. Panels are all done up. Sorry, they're using the pool outside and smacking at the wall. There's the panels on there. And we got those doors done. So like I said, we got to do a wash, and hopefully that'll tie it all together. But next, we're going to start to get some of these things parted. So I mixed up it's pretty much like a light gray, white off color with gray. I mixed that up, and that's what I'm going to use on this, and use that on a lot of different ships. But I got to clean up this cockpit so we can get that together. I'm printing the clear glass now in the Saturn II. So all these windows are going to be clear. I could leave them open to see how the clear parts come out. Definitely this needs clear parts because the front gun gets actually hooked onto it. So we're going to try the old, once I wash them, I'm going to dip them again in the clear resin, let them drip, and then cure them. Or it's like almost I want them clean, especially the ones that go up here. I need to clean them up. These, I think, pretty much printed where they don't have any supports on them, but any of them that have supports on any of the actual flat spot, I want to clean up first and then dip them and then cure them. So we're going to try that. And if that don't work, we'll try polishing them, sanding them and then polishing them, and maybe doing a clear gloss. A lot of times clear gloss, it's just filling in those lines that give you that almost prism effect where you start, and then a lot of times the alcohol makes that clear plastic get hazy. But they look great when they're just sitting on your plate dripping. So that's the effect the cap, and that's because the liquid resin that didn't cure as the lines is filling in those spaces so that the light doesn't hit those little weird build angles. So that's going on. So I'm going to start cleaning up parts so I can start hitting them white. Same thing with the wings. Get them a full white and then do the red. All right. Getting the ceiling done here. As you can see, I did like a darker silver around the edge and then more of an aluminum silver in the center here. Sometimes hard to tell when it's shiny, but you can kind of see it there. And then I did some copper details and then some bronze in the center with a little bit of brass bulbs. And then I did these things in a real dark gray, so it'd have like it not too shiny, so it gives your eye a little contrast. And then did the piping and the grates back there. I thought about doing the grates up here, but I think I'm just with the wash. That'll bring those out. So that's that. Cleaned up the little turret ball. Same thing with the cockpit. Got that cleaned up so we can start painting and getting things done there. Here's all the clear parts. So we're going to try to get those really clear. I'm not sure. I'm going to do some tests because I have some old pieces, see which works the best. Whether I dip it in the clear resin that it's already in, that it was already printed in, or do I use the real thin Solarez and that'll flow over it and then just cure it with the little flashlight, or do I just hit them with a clear coat, a glossy clear? Not sure. I'm going to see what works the best. But we want to try to get those as clear as possible. The ones you've seen up on top, these are the engines. I just printed them in a filament. These here. Because it ain't going to matter if they're a little foggy. That's going to help diffuse the lighting anyway. Should be 4 of them. Yeah. You got one big center one, 2 of the outer ones, and the little one. But these here, because the alcohol starts hazing them up when you wash them. So probably going to make sure I sand off, because these actually go in here. See if we even get a fit. Not too bad. We'll have to probably do something to these up. Sorry for the bleeps. I just turned this camera on and it's picking up all that. Oh no, it's fitting great. But we need to get those clear. I'd rather leave them out if they're not going to be clear, because most Star Wars things don't have them. Now here, these I would want them. Cockpits, I think we'd be fine, and we do need them for this, so we definitely got to get them clear. We do need them for this, mainly because the front, the guns actually hook through the ball. I don't know if, yeah, here it is. See how it has the holes for the actual guns? But they printed really clear. It's just when you get them in alcohol, they haze up when you clean them. And just naturally, because now you're seeing the build lines. But if you can get like, I don't know, if I dip them and then hit them with my UV flashlight to try to fill in those lines, then you won't get that where the light is hitting every build line and giving you that prism haze effect. So hopefully that'll work. But we got all those. There's a couple, there was one that failed. One or two? No, two that failed. It was this one and that one. But that's not too bad out of 25 pieces. Plus, I did 2 pieces for one of my Star Trek ships that we'll be building in the future. It's a smuggler ship. We'll be doing them in resin. Although I don't know, maybe I would print them, and because these are coming out on the bamboo really nice. But I think they're small enough they can make nice resin ones. Where these big ships like this, just for the weight, is going really good with the filament. And we just do, the clear glass, like any glass like this. That doesn't matter. Same thing with the fronts, because I now remember I didn't put the 2 front ones. They failed too. The little lights that go in the wings. They're just little pieces, round pieces of plastic. I think I'll just print them with the filament too. If I print them as a solid so they don't have an infill, like these did, they're pretty clear. Now they printed a texture because they're supposed to be a texture. Plus you get the build plate texture. But all that should help diffuse the light so we get a good light. Anyway. And the same thing with the spotlights. But anything clear that's supposed to look like canopy glass or something like that, I want nice. We'll definitely do in resin, and we're going to do a couple experiments to see what gives us the clearest glass. But it's going to be off to, I can hit this with a clear coat. Yeah, and like I said, I think I'm just going to leave that like that and just, I guess there's some type of vent. It's the same pattern they did on the floors, which I wish they did something different. Because I was kind of treating them as like floor mats, so they, but I think we'll just hit those with a wash, and that'll bring them out a little more. But I'm happy with that center thing. It's hard to get any pictures of what that thing really looks like from the TV show, so I don't know. I just kind of went on my own.